Hola, mi nombre es Ben Bishop.
Y mi nombre es Cameron Wicker.
Actualmente estamos inscritos en Santa Barbara City College, tomando 101 españoles en la segunda mitad del verano. This is an online class where lessons are self-paced and can be done from home. There's a group of assignments that are due each week, and we have to keep an updated portfolio that is graded every 2 weeks based on completion. The lessons are meant to teach us basic vocabulary words and grammar to string together the words we learn into basic sentences. We also have to learn about the history of the Spanish language and how it is different in the many Spanish-speaking countries. We also have to learn some of the popular cultural icons and foods that are in both Mexico and Spain. The Spanish and English alphabets share almost all of their letters, but the pronunciation of these letters is very different. All 26 letters in the English alphabet carry over to Spanish, and a 27th letter called ñ is also added. Here is how to pronounce all 27 letters of the alphabet in Spanish. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, E, J, K, L, M, N, Ñ, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, N, Y, Z, Theta. The Spanish alphabet used to have even more letters, but the letters could be recreated using the other letters. They just had different sounds. The regulating body over the Spanish language argued that knowing proper grammar would mean you would not need a different letter to properly pronounce a word.
And talking about cognates, el latín y el griego han influido en los idiomas español y inglés hasta el punto de que el 60% de las palabras en español e inglés provienen de ellos. So the Latin and Greek languages have very highly influenced Spanish and English both. Like I said, up to 60% of the words come from those languages. An example of a cognate, it's two words that look exactly like each other and they mean the same thing. So they don't have to look exactly alike, but pretty similar. So like in Spanish, anchoa means anchovy. In English, just a couple little difference in letters. And then like atún and tuna, barbacoa, barbecue. And then moving on to false cognates. False cognate is palabras que parecen cogneros, pero en realidad tienen diferentes significados. So the words that look the same but actually have different meanings. So in English, we might say in all actuality, but you can't say that in Spanish because actuality would translate over to, in all actuality would translate to nowadays. And so for us, in all actuality, we'd be talking about a reality situation. And then for them, in Spanish, it would be talking about something that's happening in the present, and they don't translate over correctly.
All right, so accentuación. Ahora repare rápidamente las reglas de acentuación. So when you add an accent mark, which is either to any of the vowels, so A, E, I, O, or U, and or diaeresis, which is the two little dots above a U, that does not make them different letters. And inverted question marks and exclamation points are also used to change how a word is said. Without these marks, they could mean two different things in Spanish. So like an upside down question mark or an upside down exclamation point are used in written Spanish to begin interrogative and exclamatory sentences or clauses. So you could say a statement and you wouldn't use any question marks, but if you wanted that statement to be read as a question when you're writing, you would have to put an upside down question mark at the beginning, as well as a question mark at the end. And same when you're trying to exclaim something. So if you wanted to make a statement, you wouldn't put any exclamation points. But if you wanted to exclaim something, you would put an upside down exclamation point at the front and a regular exclamation point at the end. Spanish accents can only be written over the 5 vowels. And the accent is written from the lower left of the letter to the upper right. You wouldn't put another dot if it's a lowercase I above the, you wouldn't put a dot if it's a lowercase I. The accent would replace the dot's place. But for all the other letters, the letter is unchanged and you put the accent mark over the letter. In Spanish, as in English, words have one syllable that is stressed above the others. In Spanish, for several reasons, written accent marks are used to indicate that the syllable is accentuated. When reading in Spanish, you must emphasize the syllable that contains an accented vowel. So, for example, maíz, tradición, increíble, aportación. Those 4 words are accented using the regular rules of accentuation. And if there's not an accented vowel and the words end in N or S, you must emphasize the letter before the last syllable. This is the naturally emphasized syllable in Spanish. So libro, ejemplo, amigos, or hispanohablante. If there's not an accented vowel and the word doesn't end in N or S or a vowel, you must emphasize the last syllable. And this is the case for all infinitive verbs. So visitar, estudiar, combinar, and repetir would match that rule. And when writing, to know whether and where to place an accent mark, you must know how to pronounce the word. Which is very important to make sure that you place it properly. And the general accentuation rules are just counting syllables from back to last. And if the stressed syllable is third, you must always place an accent mark over it. So for example, espectáculo, and pa would be the accentuated part of the word. Sudamerica, me would be the accentuated part of the word. And romántico, man, would be the accentuated part of the word. But if the stressed syllable is the one before last and the word does not end in A, E, I, O, U, N, or S, you must place an accent mark over it. So for example, la, pa, ángel, azúcar. But if the stressed syllable is the last and the words end in a vowel, or S, you must place an accent mark over it. And this is the case for many past tenses. So for example, entro, café, corazón. Those are all good examples. And one of the 2 identical words with different meanings, or homonyms, must carry an accent mark to differentiate it from another. So that means one word without an accent mark could mean one thing, and one word without an accent mark would mean another thing. So that could be really confusing. You've got to make sure when you're writing a word down that you're thinking about how you would pronounce it to make sure that you get your accents right.
And talking about learning Spanish and how to do it quickly and how to understand more, not just be a statistic, here are some consejos y trucos. Tips and tricks. So you have to foco en cultura y comunicación. You want to focus on the culture and communication because that way you know the unique parts of of where a language comes from, and then you can helps you translate over to your culture and understand both by comparing them. And then permanecer en la tarea. You want to get on task, and then el lenguaje es una habilidad de supervivencia. So language is a survival skill, and you want to be able to survive, and you have to be able to just do your work and be on task the whole time. And then de pequeños pasos y que con frecuencia. So that means that you want to take baby steps and be willing to fall often. So you want to work your way through it slowly and be willing to fail, because that is an opportunity to learn for next time. And next, you want to esperar la exactidad, so expire for accuracy. You can mess up because you're learning, but eventually you don't want to make those mistakes over and over. You want to become more and more accurate. Protege tu proceso de aprendizaje. So protect your learning experience. You want to make sure that you're learning with people who understand that it's your second language and that you're not going to understand everything easily. And that way they can help you and be more sensitive to you in your learning process. And finally, just simplemente hazlo. You have to just do it. Like Nike says, just go out and do it. You just have to follow that and just be willing to go try all of it.
All right, so gracias. Esperamos que haya disfrutado de nuestra presentación. Adiós.